Lords and ladies, vassals and serfs, welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Wrestling. I am your host, the Duke of Destruction, Preston Black. As always, I am joined by my very good friend, the Viscount of Victory, Ben Barber.
What is happening?
How's it going, Ben? How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you?
I'm very, very good. Tonight we are welcoming a very special guest, the Queen of Cats, Georgia Dunn.
That's good.
Thank you.
Welcome.
That's good. She is the Queen of Cats.
She
Thank
certainly
you.
is. How are you tonight, Georgia?
I am great. And once again, for our live audience, Preston, Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
And yes, I am very good. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, Ben, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Did any of us tell anybody that we were doing a live stream of
I did.
wrestling tonight?
I totally posted about it like 15 minutes ago. I was making the kids tomato soup and grilled cheese, and I was like, you know what? I am gonna steal a photograph from Preston's social media and post it with the link because I'm a true professional, and that's how I did it.
You are a true professional. I am not. And Preston would be a true professional if he wasn't on Christmas vacation.
He's on Christmas vacation.
I am entitled to 2 Christmas vacations a year.
It is a time of just relaxing, enjoying Christmas holiday treats.
That's right.
Dave once claimed to be on Christmas vacation for 7.5 years.
That makes sense.
I can see that.
That tracks.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He still sometimes says it, and then I smack him as if I'm Will Smith. Honestly,
Come on.
I honestly go a little harder. What are we talking about?
This week I watched all of WWE's Evil, which is an 8-part series on Peacock, produced for Peacock, and each episode sort of tells the story of a famous heel in WWE history, and it was very cool. And if you haven't seen it, it's sort of has the same vibe as Dark Side of the Ring. Like John Cena narrates it, and it's very and it's very like John Cena using his serious voice to explain the situation. And they interview, most of the people involved with the heel to some degree or another, and some backstage folks. And they sort of go through the the career trajectory of the character. And it's kind of fun because it's sort of presented half in kayfabe and half not. Mm-hmm. Like they explain the writing logic, but all of the wrestlers talk about it as if, sort of in the same way that an actor will describe. It's not convoluted when you watch it. It makes sense, but it's sort of funny because it's sort of in the same way that an actor will say and then I did this, but talking about their character. So the wrestlers do the same thing. It was it was hard. Undertaker's it was hard when I find out that my brother was alive, but it's sort of just a way to explain the logic, but it's not presented as in kayfabe, but they talk about it in sort of kayfabe terms, which is fun. Anyway, so I thought it'd be fun to just talk about heels as an overall
Preston,
topic.
I'm sorry to derail a little bit. Are you
Please.
aware that you are you Smarky Smark and the Smarky Bunch? You are mispronouncing that word.
What?
It's
heels.
Kufub. It's kufub.
Kufub?
Kufub.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's kufub. People keep saying kayfabe. It's kufub.
Okay.
I need source on this.
Yeah, can you link in chat, please?
I need proof.
It's kufub.
Jim
Cornette would be so mad at both of you for thinking that you know stuff.
I could believe that there is another Carney pronunciation to Carney terms. but I also can believe that it would be a carny work to pretend that there is another carny pronunciation to carny terms. So I'm not sure.
Sure, Ben. Kize Fibe. You got it.
Kefub.
Anyway.
Is that there is a I'm getting messages on Facebook Messenger from a lurker who doesn't dare comment. Saying that I needed to turn my volume up. So thank you, lurker.
Obscure person in the shadows.
That sounds like a lie. Beth, you know nothing about wrestling. You know nothing about wrestling. It's Kefub. It's Kefub.
Sure.
I would not lie to you. This is not a gimmick.
Let's debate this for an hour.
It's Kefub.
This is the content. This is what the people want.
Where is P.O. Box? P.O. Box wants this. Notice P.O. Box. Notice P.O. Box is not in the chat.
Nowhere to be seen.
Because Georgia is here.
Ooh.
Oh, that would be an interesting angle.
Was P.O. last time we did this? Was P.O. Box at the same time as Georgia?
That's what I was gonna say. I was in the chat last time.
Not at the same time as P.O. Box.
P.O. Box came later.
P.O. Box did come later.
Oh, it's 18 plus, please.
This is very, very, very against Kefub.
Okay, I'm ending that gimmick. Before we do that, let's talk bad guys. Before we did that, I did notice one small bit of kind of breaking news before we went on, that Marco Stunt officially not in AEW anymore. They did not renew his contract.
Oh gosh.
Chris Daniels called him. Supposedly this was broken by Fightful. And apparently Chris Daniels called him to tell him that they were not going to renew his contract, citing budget restrictions. But he hasn't been on TV in like 8 months.
Yeah.
So it's sort of the writing was on the wall, but it's too bad. I like Marco Stunt. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they've got a lot of people though. You're sort of going to have to expect stuff like this to happen.
So are we mad about a company that is, coming back from the pandemic and touring and selling out shows and doing all? Are we mad at them for saying that something is budget cuts as well, or does that just only work one way?
I think that it's different when they're not being released for budget cuts. He wasn't released. They just didn't renew his contract.
I think the amount of money behind a company and who they've gotten into bed with for that money brings the context of that too.
Yeah.
Because when WWE says that something is budget cuts, but we know they've got that $500 billion sitting there from Saudi Arabia, I tend to not believe them.
I agree with that as well. I am not a fan of anyone in wrestling with the last name Khan. I'm just going to put that out there.
That's fair.
I'm not a fan of anyone with the last name Khan in wrestling.
Yeah.
I personally am not.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I am in the vast minority because there are a lot of Nick Khan fans out there, but I'm going to go on a limb and I'm going to say that I am not a fan of either of them.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, I understand.
I don't know a terrible amount about them personally. I know them from the show. That's about it.
What are we talking about?
We're going to talk about heels. So yeah, that was. I just wanted to bring that up.
I am the heel on this show. I am the heel on this show. I am the bad guy on this show, and I'm fine with it.
That's very true. There's always got to be one. So I guess to sort of kick off, I wanted to talk about what makes a good heel. What are your favorite things about a heel? And Ben, I kind of wanted to start with you because you have real life practical writing for wrestling experience, as limited as you might insist it is. But so you have a unique perspective here. But so what sort of things do you think make a good heal, an effective heal?
I think anything, I think it's individualized, right? So I think that, like, I personally believe that there are different things that make different people good at being a good guy or a bad guy, and it just depends on the persona in and of itself, separately from sort of a mold, right? Like, I think that because there's cool bad guys, and it's any character could be either,
Mhm.
right? Like, you take Bailey, for example, right? Like, not current Bailey, but like 2016, like, hugger, white meat baby face, like the biggest good guy you could ever possibly have. And that character, that same exact character, tweaked in what they say just a tiny bit, is the most annoying person in the world. But tweaked in a different way is the most endearing person in the world. And I personally think that it's how you say what you say and how you present what it is. And I think that, so I like, all of those things are very different. And so, yeah, I don't think that there's a formula for what makes it. I think it's committing to not being likable. uh and I think it's much easier to be a good bad guy than it is to be a good guy.
Sure.
But you need a good bad guy in order to have anybody care.
Mm-hmm.
But they can't
Yeah.
be too good, because then they're the good guy.
Yeah.
So sort of it really is just up to the strengths of the performer and the type of character that you're going.
Yes, it is a term that I did not make up.
Yeah.
Okay, it
I
is
like
a term that I did not make up. It is. I'm sure there's a lot of things wrong with it. I'm sure that there's a lot of things wrong with it.
There's
The
a lot of
people
things
that
wrong
are
with
watching
wrestling.
this stream right now don't care about wrestling. And
But
I
you know
love
what?
it.
I appreciate that they're here anyway. But I think that's a very good point, that there's no, this works and this doesn't. It's really about playing to people's strengths.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very valid opinion or a viewpoint coming from the point of view of the production and of the writing. But Georgia, as a spectator, as a weaver of tales, as you are, as a writer in your own right, but from a much different realm and a much different perspective, what are things that you're looking for in a heel that really resonate with you?
Charisma. Absolutely charisma. I think Ben has a great point that it's how someone plays it. Because everyone is going to be able to play a much different character. And I think that the best heels have kind of brought a lot of themselves into it, but then that gets complicated because then, as we know, a lot of times they have some personal problems outside of the ring. I am, of course, talking about Jake the Snake, whom I absolutely love. And he really goes into that charisma, and everyone is going to play a heel just a little bit differently. My favorite heels tend to be the very overconfident heels. And I like someone like Rick Rude, who kind of plays that to the audience. And I mean, eventually, sometimes Rick Rude was like fighting the audience more than he was fighting the opponent.
Yeah.
He was going up and flirting with guys' girlfriends and everything else. And that brought a certain energy and a certain heat to matches. And then, you have people who might be a little bit like defensive, and their charisma is more the other way of, you kind of feel for them, or how do I put it into words exactly? Because it's not just, I don't just mean charisma in the way that you automatically like them, but I guess it's how they can tweak people's energy. And so how they can kind of tweak the energy in a match. I think Eddie Kingston is a terrific example of this. He cuts better promos. I joke that someone needs to tell Eddie Kingston wrestling's fake, because he cuts incredible promos. He brings incredible heat to things.
Don't do that. Don't tell him that he's don't tell him that it's fake. No, don't tell him that it's fake, because he is so grateful every single day. The thing that keeps him getting up out of bed every single day is that he thinks that Kenny Omega does not know how to make a bomb.
Yeah.
And if you told him that wrestling was fake and that the company that he works for just shit the bed on buying enough pyrotechnics, then he's going to be really embarrassed retroactively. And I don't want that to happen to him, because he's too good of a guy.
No.
So let him keep kafib and just call it a day.
I will say something that is a little complicated. I am not a huge fan of CM Punk. I like CM Punk as a person. I root for him as a person. I want to see him do well. I want to see him have contracts. I don't necessarily love sitting through a 20-minute monologue that he has about how the industry is. I don't love when they bring in how the industry is. To me, wrestling's a soap opera. Keep it to personal beefs, all of that. Why I say all of this is Eddie Kingston a few months ago, for me, I was happy to see CM Punk in AEW, but I was happy for him personally. Character-wise, I wasn't really invested, and then Eddie Kingston got into his face in that ring, and he brought out the fighter, and he made the story, and he drove the energy. And I think that a great heel really sets up the babyface to be the hero, because you don't have that tension with the babyface. I have a child staring at me right now.
We know, Mom. We were looking through the pictures.
Okay.
And found Brownie. We found Brownie in your car.
All right, guys, stop. Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Mom is talking about serious stuff.
I'm sorry. Anyway, so bring it back. I think that a really good heel accents the babyface and propels the babyface. And that, speaking of great heels, my daughter just entered the room.
The greatest heel.
Honey, I know. You have to stop doing that.
You got Brownie?
Okay, you need to stop doing that, honey. Okay? One moment. I am sorry. I'm going to go off the lunch break, and I will be right back.
You give me a thumbs up when you're back. All right, Preston, we have a question here from Princess Daddy. Where should
I don't know if that's pronounced, but
that is how you pronounce it.
Okay.
Princess Daddy. Where should a newbie start with watching wrestling?
I would say timeline wise, just hop in.
Yes.
And I think the easiest, if you're talking about what company to start with, I think WWE is way by far easier to just hop into by design. They write their product in a way that appeals to casual fans, people who are just popping in and not necessarily following week to week every single thing. And they really handhold you through a show.
You will get a recap of what happened before the commercial break, immediately after the commercial break, and then the story will move forward an inch, and then you'll get a recap of that.
Yeah, AEW, which is the other sort of like the big American promotion, they really write to wrestling fans who follow wrestling online all the time and know everyone's personal history. If you're not heavily invested in wrestling, AEW might be harder to follow.
If they will introduce people and fully expect for you to know who they are and all of their history from some random indie company that you've never heard of. And they won't expect you to hear it. They will make references constantly to YouTube shows and people's social media, but never show you those things. And just pick up storylines in the middle of those things. So they are more difficult, however, a little faster paced. And that's very important.
A lot less content to digest.
Yep. I think personally, where you should start watching wrestling is an episode of WWF Superstars from January 11th, 1995. It was Shawn Michaels in a match against Barry Horowitz. And I think that is the quintessential wrestling match that would make everybody everyone a fan. Shawn Michaels, the comeback kid himself, in 1995, against Barry Horowitz on Superstars.
Yeah, 1995. That's a good starting point.
That is a good starting point. Georgia?
Hi.
Hey, Georgia. Welcome back.
Hey. Sorry.
Is the brownie
Georgia, you would
incident-
agree, right? You would agree, right? Barry Horowitz versus
Wait, where? What am I agreeing to?
the quintessential match to get into wrestling would be Shawn Michaels versus Barry Horowitz from WWF Superstars on January 11th, 1995.
I mean, I want to watch it right now. I'd have to review it.
I'm sorry, June 11th. It was June 11th, 1995. January 11th, Shawn
guy out of
Michaels.
here.
January 11th, Shawn Michaels still would have been a bad guy.
I am
No,
willing
he
to trust
was.
you because you know I love Shawn Michaels, and Shawn Michaels is another one of those heels with charisma that like.
Mhm.
And I love the arc of a heel babyface turn. I love the ups and downs of all of it.
Well, that's it. So that's an interesting sort of segue into another point that I wanted to bring up from just now is the dynamic of a heel turn. Does it really take you out of the experience to have a sort of sudden and almost unjustified turn?
It's got to work storyline wise and charisma wise for me. If it falls flat, it falls very flat. If it flows naturally with the story, that's why we're all there. So it's a delicate thing, and it really needs to land well. I think it's funny to bring up Stone Cold because like he's kind of both at the same time, but went back and forth really well. Sorry, speaking of heels, Elvis said
back and forth really well.
I think he did. I think so.
Did he go back and forth really well?
I feel like
Wanted to boo Stone Cold in 2001.
I feel like sometimes it was some of the best wrestling television. I really do. And
Well, I
know
agree with
it's
that.
like-
I agree with that. I think that comedic Stone Cold was fantastic as a bad guy with the
So funny.
cookies and Deborah and all of those things.
I'm thinking specifically of when the Ministry kidnapped Stephanie McMahon and Stone Cold came down to like save her, as you know, again, bouncing
But
back.
that was 99. That was 99. That was good guy. That was
That's what I'm saying.
That was white meat baby face Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I'm showing the back and forth because
Right.
he came in supposed to be a heel. It did not work. And that was sort of the beginning of like not the beginning of, but that was like, he was one of the first really big anti-heroes, that he was a baby face who they wanted you to dislike as the heel, but it didn't land because he was so strong. And then, so when he was a hero, he was a big, big, big hero. And that was some of the best television, but then he'd go back and beat the heel.
Sure.
Back and forth.
So I think that Preston, you said earlier, what is like the defining characteristic, right?
I did
And
say that.
it's motivation. So it's your why, right? And it's the story of good, if like Brock Lesnar right now, for example, just as a big honking example, arrived, destroyed people, left, went and took his money, right? That was the gimmick for P.O. Box is here. Stop it. Stop everything. P.O. Box is here. It is not Georgia.
It's not me.
not Georgia.
Not only is P.O. Box here, Georgia also has her hands full. Although, is it possible to set to pre-write and schedule a post using a bot
my
while Georgia is
friends,
touring.
I'm sure it is, but is Georgia capable of it? No, she's not. She was 3 minutes late to this, trying to figure out how to get the link to open. So, no.
Good evening, P.O. Box. I hope you're well. Thank you so much for joining us. Ben, what were you saying?
I was saying that I'm sorry. So so it's why you do things, right? So
Yeah.
like Brock Lesnar coming back, being very much like for the giving the appearance on television that it's for the money, that I'm not going to work any more days than I need to. I'm not going to do any of these things, right? Like that's how he was portrayed to the audience. Bad guy, right? Now he is a kick-ass monster that can go in there and destroy anybody. And that is wonderful babyface fodder. But he doesn't care. He doesn't care about you.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't care about any of that. He doesn't care about winning. He's there to collect money and leave and be the main event 4 times a year and get the hell out of there. You give him a little bit of motivation, right? Which was it wasn't even that Paul Heyman was with Roman and like had turned on him or anything like that yet. It was just he comes back and he's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" You know? And now all of a sudden you're like, "Oh shit, Brock has a reason to be pissed."
Mm-hmm.
I've had friends send me Brock Lesnar clips recently where, like, I mean, when was the last time any of us were really talking about Brock Lesnar? And also, I want to add fun cowboy Brock Lesnar. I love that for him. I love that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeehaw! Yeah. Yeehaw! I love that for him.
It's amazing.
But it's also it's believable. It's not bitching about your spot in the company or your
like he finally has something to do. Like
right, like there's an actual story there, and now he's a relatable good guy, and now you want to see him crush people the exact same way that, and maybe like you're a jaded fan and you don't want to see it or whatever, right? Like I see a lot of people like
I'm more into it than I would have been.
Sure. And I see a lot of people saying like, this is the 3rd WrestleMania main event of Roman versus Brock. Like we've seen this so many times. I don't want to see it.
This is their 8th pay-per-view match build, right?
Yeah. Yep. But it's their 3rd WrestleMania main event together. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, I don't want to see it this time. And I'm like, this is the only time I've ever wanted to see it.
Yeah.
I've heard that more. I've heard that more. That oh my god, they've really drilled this into the ground, but I'm actually excited for it this time because of the dynamic shift.
Roman was given no motivation for years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's it.
If I can highlight charisma for a moment, I want to take a quick little sidestep with our friend Brock Lesnar. And I want to point out two wrestlers who are there to get the money. There to get the money to get paid. 2 heels. You've got Brock Lesnar there to get the money, get paid. And you have Ric Flair, another heel, there to get the money, get paid. Who do you want to watch all day long? And it's charisma. It's a lot of carrying the stories and carrying the antagonizing. And they're both there to get paid. They're both there to be millionaires. They're both there to be money. But only one of them's having fun with it, it ever felt like.
Yeah.
And they're 2 very different heels, and they're playing their very different characters. But kind of going back to that, what Ben was saying, a different person will approach even a similar kind of motivation very differently. And that's fun.
And Brock Lesnar couldn't do Ric Flair.
No, absolutely not. And I don't think Ric Flair could do Brock Lesnar, because I think that Ric Flair would just be, he'd kind of come down kind of grumpy, and then he'd just start winking at the audience and having fun with it.
Yeah,
he can't help it. He can't help it.
So here's something here's something that sadly we'll never see now, but and I don't know because of the dynamics of who he is, but this is a difference of the same motivation, creating a perfect bad guy versus a perfect good guy. Triple H in 99, 2000 to 2002 was like my favorite bad guy ever. And it was literally just like This title is all I care about.
Yeah.
This title says that I'm the best. You know, it started with like I was in a group of friends and all my friends left or quit or were on drugs or whatever, and everybody dropped the ball, and I'm not going to drop the ball because I care the most. This is my life. I live this. I breathe this. This is my title. This is everything that I need. F all of you. Like, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to keep this, and I don't care how ruthless I'm going to be. Like, this is my life. That motivation creates the biggest prick in the world.
Yeah.
You take 20 years off of that. And if he were able to, and sadly he never will be now, but if he were able to now, and he wasn't in the position where like he's married to Stephanie and you know, whatever. And you take that and you have somebody in a Ric Flair type situation, right? Because that's a very similar motivation to Ric Flair. Like, I need this to be the champion.
Yeah.
And you have that guy now going, this was my life. This was all I ever had. And if I can't do this one more time, then I don't deserve to be here.
Yeah.
And I need this one more time. And then you try. And now it's now you want him to do it, right? When Ric Flair fought Edge in 2005, when Edge won the championship for the first time in the Elimination Chamber, cashing in the Money in the Bank for the first time, and he had like a random ladder match with Ric Flair on Raw. Yeah. And that was the story. That was Ric Flair's motivation of like, I need to do this because if I can't do this, like, why am I here? And it's like, God, I want to see that old man win the title. Yeah. He was such a prick about the title his entire time, and his motivation has not changed at all, but I want it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
it's
subtle
how
change.
You tell a story. Yeah.
Well, conversely, so the reason that I that this popped into my head, and I can't remember exactly what made this pop into my head, but the example that I was thinking of was Brian Danielson's heel turn in AEW, where he arrived, he debuted for the company, classic character, like plucky, baby face veteran. I'm here to help the young guys and all this. And then Hangman Page wins the title. And I think the next show, having won the number one contendership, Brian starts cutting heel promos on him. And it's sort of this almost like really jarring, quick transition into, oh, now I'm just going to be a dick to you almost for no reason. And it was sort of like just the flimsiest, like, I'm being a dick to you, or I'm not actually being heelish. You're just perceiving me as being heelish. The audience is just perceiving me as being heelish because because I'm being real to you. And then he just kind of stuck with being a heel for a while and with no real story justification for a character change. And he's a fantastic heel. I love him as a heel, but what about that kind of storytelling really what does that get across? How does that strike you as a viewer? It's almost sort of like this Wild West sort of booking where you're just like, we need a heel.
Yeah, I don't like when it feels like it's my turn to be heel now. Like, if it feels like they're taking the turns, no.
That's exactly what it felt like.
Yeah, I like a very, very slow, weird change. I like a weird, slow change.
So you could have, but here's the thing: you could have done that in one night, still, right? Mm-hmm. And here's how I would do it. Brian, I wouldn't call him plucky in AEW. He came into AEW with, I'm the best in the world.
Sure.
I'm the single greatest wrestler that's ever lived, and I'm here to see what you guys got. And then he put on clinics with people, right? For the first 2 months he was there, 3 months, whatever it was. Now, if he came out and he was like Adam Page, because he did the I'm not gonna fight you tonight bullshit. The
Mhm.
first night that he's a heel, he's like, no, I'm not going to fight you. That is not the guy that you've just seen for the last 2 months, right? Why would you do that? Have him fight him that night. You've already seen Brian go to a draw a couple times. Have him either go to another draw or lose, but have him fight him like, congratulations, kid. I'm really glad that you just won the championship. But I'm done messing around here. Right? I wanted to beat Kenny. I should have beat Kenny. I was the person that should have beat Kenny. And it's ridiculous that you got this shot again. So let's do this tonight. If you want to be a fighting champion, prove you're a fighting champion and beat me because I'm the best. And then he does it. Adam Page just beats him. Or Brian can't beat him. He keeps trying and he can't beat him, whatever that may be. And then Brian gets really pissed because he's like, I'm the best. What's happening? This guy's not ready to be champion. I'm the best. I was so confident coming in here. I'm the best, not him. I'm the best. What's happening? Right? Like literally just in that match, in that one match, he keeps trying to beat him and he keeps not doing it. He has the label lock on him and he somehow gets to the ropes and you see Brian's face get madder and madder the whole time because he can't beat him. And he's like, this guy went through hell last night with Kenny Omega. How am I not beating him? Right?
Yeah.
This was sort of
he could just beat him with a chair at that point because he's so pissed about it and get a DQ. But that's a heel turn, and then you have motivation for it, and you're like, "Fuck you, man!"
It's the showing, like the show and tell. It's the showing versus the telling. With storytelling, if someone is telling you it, they're not doing a good job showing you it, and showing, I think, always creates the emotional connection and the empathy between the audience and the characters, either whether it's a comic or a story or whether it's wrestling in the audience. You need to show versus tell. And I think when it's that sharp heel turn, it feels like a tell versus it happening slowly and naturally. And like you set up, that would be them showing us what's happening versus just like, I'm a heel now, which does not work.
That was sort of, and someone in the comments mentioned that that's sort of how he was booked to turn heel in WWE as well. And I'm assuming they're talking about the most recent time that happened. But it's sort of happened in the way that Ben just described, where he was, I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, he was a babyface and he got booked into a match with Brock Lesnar, I think on Survivor Series, and he was losing the match. Brock Lesnar was, immediately dominating as Lesnar is, and Brian had to sort of get heelish. He kind of I recall him getting sort of that sheepish grin, and he kicks him in the dick, and he starts kind of running around and scurrying, and sort of outsmarting, not out wrestling Lesnar. And then after that, he sort of just leaned into just being a heel, and then sort of transitioned into the vegan Earth Warrior sort of character, which I loved. Yeah. But if I remember correctly, that sort of mid-match switch to I'm going to win this match. If I can't out wrestle you, I'm definitely smarter than you. And that sort of smarmy, character came out. But it was very fast.
I don't know if you guys saw this, but Edge just recently turned heel, seemingly out of nowhere, and became a completely different character, like an evil character. They're doing a lot of Brood Edge shit recently, and I don't know why.
I mean, I know why, but that shit. No, I didn't. I was a 17-year-old girl doing Brood Edge stuff.
So yes, that's I love that. I love that after 20 years they're like, by the way, he's a vampire.
We forgot he's a vampire.
He's a vampire, guys. He's always been a vampire.
He's been the whole time.
Yeah, wow.
But you didn't see, right? So it's like him and Beth beating up Miz and throwing people into cakes and stuff. And then all of a sudden he's just like AJ Styles. I am the man, and I am going to talk very slowly, and I'm going to have purple Undertaker lighting, and I'm going to change everything about me, and I'm going to talk about sitting on the top of my mountain of omnipotence. And it's like,
Oh,
He has to be
Why
he
are
has
you-
to be the
No.
dark edge in order to beat AJ Styles for no
which is
reason.
like, sure, but like
There's no
AJ was a
motivation
bad
there.
guy.
Yeah.
But AJ was a bit, so like it's literally just like I want to face AJ Styles at WrestleMania. Okay, cool. I want to be the bad guy in the match.
but I'm having a midlife crisis.
Yeah.
How can
I want to be
we
the bad guy in the match.
work all
Okay,
this?
cool. Yeah.
Oh no.
Why are you doing this? Why like none of this makes sense? And if it made sense, that would be a story that I would love to see.
Yeah.
But there's nothing that happened. There's nothing that happened that caused Edge to like, you know, literally like it could have just been like people going like, you really want to face AJ Styles? Like, I don't think you can keep up with him anymore.
Hmm.
And it's like, what are you talking about? We're not even like that far apart in age.
Also
Like, there's
fair. Like, is Edge gonna be okay? He's had a bunch of medical stuff. I don't mean to be like that, but like, oh, Edge, I don't think you should be back in that ring. Any of the times that he's gone back in that ring, like that in itself could have been enough. Like, I don't know.
one match, right? Like he has one match on Raw and he like comes up limp a little bit and then everybody starts questioning him. And then the
Yeah.
next week, like Beth questions him.
Yeah.
And he's
Like,
like,
he's got
I'm fine. I'm fine. I
Yeah.
fought for this. And they're like, and all it takes is one person going like, hey, buddy, you had a good comeback. You had your Cinderella story. And
Mhm.
now it's the same exact thing that I just talked about with Ric Flair and Triple H,
Yeah.
right? Somebody says to him, hey, bud, you had your Cinderella story. You came back. You came back from your neck injury. You got injured again. You came back. You had a WrestleMania moment. You had that big Royal Rumble moment.
Yeah.
You got to team with your wife for the first time. Like, it's okay. Let's just call it a career. Like, yeah, your comeback wasn't as successful as you wanted to be. What are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
I'm Edge.
Yeah.
I'm Edge. I'm the rated R superstar. I'm the ultimate opportunist. I am better than this. I'm better than this. I'm a Hall of Famer. No. AJ, I want you at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
No thanks, old man. I don't want to be
Yeah.
the person that ends your career. I already did that to Taker.
One of the best examples of that kind of like that kind of like adversity that you're talking about is when Shawn Michaels was going after Undertaker for, I can't remember which WrestleMania it was, but it was the one where Shawn Michaels showed up in his like white Jesus suit.
That was 25.
Oh, 25. I knew it was like 20 or 25, one of the like majors. Yeah, that was a great storyline running into that because Shawn was just like, he was making himself look terrible. Triple H pulling him aside. And
That
being
was
like,
26 though. That was 26.
that was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
pulling
they
him
had
aside and being
a
like,
great
"What are you
match
doing?"
at 25. Yeah, they had the best match
Yeah.
ever at 25. And
Yeah.
Shawn almost beat him. He came closer than anybody had ever come to beating him at that time. And then the year passed and everything was fine. And Shawn did like a little DX reunion and whatever.
Yeah.
And then he won the Slammy for match of the year. And he was like, you know what? I got to have one more match.
Yeah.
I came so close last year. I got to do it. I can do it. I can do it. I got to
Yeah,
do it. And the
obsession.
Undertaker was like, nope.
Yeah. And like Shawn's like crawling out from under the ring and stuff during and interfering with matches. And like he's just obsessed.
To the 9 people that
Ugly.
left the chat in the last 10 minutes, this is gold. I don't know what you're talking about. This is amazing. This is the best show we've ever done.
Of the two of them, it's better.
Of the two of them,
Objectively, it's better.
Objectively, it's better.
It's more singing. There's more Georgia.
100%
So what are things that you what type of things do you not like in a heel? Like what thing? Like, so I'll go first because this is one of the things that was more on my mind to bring up, and I just wanted to say I'm really in most cases I can't get into like a classic chicken shit heel. I think it's easy. It's been done. It doesn't grab me. I don't care. And it's just the most like default heel writing to me, with I probably in the modern era, the exception being Seth Rollins post Shield breakup.
Yeah.
Oh, that
If
was
you've
incredible.
if you've got like a tremendous amount of backup and you're like propped up by, the company in this case or something. If you're chicken shit because you're portrayed as being sort of like an idiot golden boy, who's protected, that's fine. But he was having good matches too, and he did win. But he sort of walked the line between being a chicken shit and not being a chicken shit. But that's sort of the thing that really, it's just the most common thing I feel like you see, particularly on the indies, and I just can't get behind it. So, Georgia, what's your what type of heel do you see and you just turn off?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm trying to think of the heels that were really, really boring for me.
Or what qualities in a heel just really, besides the stuff that you sort of have already mentioned, unless that's it.
Yeah. I guess when they're just kind of, like you said, just being a heel to be a heel, there's not a lot behind it. Brock Lesnar is someone I have a hard time watching. Brock Lesnar, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
And so I was interested, now where, I'm hearing some kind of interesting rumblings for him. I'm kind of good for him. But wow, he has bored the hell out of me for a very long time. Because if he doesn't care, why do I care? And that's kind of where I am. Like I said, I like the heels that are having fun with it. I like the heels that you'd want to hang out with kind of after a show.
The Fiends,
I don't know. I like the Fiends and Scoundrels.
Yeah. I mean the Fiend, like Bray Wyatt, the Fiend.
Yeah. Well, that's
actual demons, from the hell of your mind.
You and I know. I really prefer. My favorite wrestlers are the wrestlers who have supernatural powers. I think that it's great. I think that it's actually underused. I feel like every wrestling company, the big villain should be some kind of terrifying necromancer wizard. Or what is this all about?
Yeah.
What are the stakes?
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I know that the moment we turn this off, there's going to be a flood of them. Because I see people in my head that just because I don't like the heroes that are kind of boring, like Lex Luger jumps out at me, I don't know, just kind of I don't know, if they're just not really passionate, or they just don't seem passionate about stuff, if they're just kind of propped up.
You've explained that you guys that are just sort of show up and they're a shitty heel because they're the tough guy, and that's it. They just want to be rude to everyone for no real reason. I think that's totally valid. There's nothing. It's just a completely vapid
and I think
character.
That right now I'm my Rolodex is spinning up empty at the moment because they're just boring.
Yeah.
And I think that's the worst thing, because that's the biggest sin in entertainment. You can do anything but don't bore me. And so I think that's where where ECW had no shortage of incredibly horrible heels, but I was never bored.
Sure. Ben, what do you got? What are your turn-offs for heels? What grinds your gears?
It's boring big men.
Yeah.
It's just he's a monster because he's big and he moves slow and he doesn't, that's boring. If there's a big guy, a big monster that's ferocious. Did I say that word right?
I think so. Yeah, ferocious.
Yeah, the word that you just made up. Absolutely.
Yeah. Then I think that's good. You know what I mean? If there's somebody that's that has a mean streak, then I like that. How about WWE's? He's a monster because he's foreign.
Yeah, I hate that too. That's never really, except Iron Sheik, who for all of his vast problematic everything, I still have always enjoyed watching him in old matches. No, I love I was gonna say I love faced Rusev. I hate when WWE does the like he's bad because he's foreign, which
That's
is
true. However, Rusev was a dick though. He was foreign, but he was a dick. He wasn't just a
He was fun later when it wasn't like when the emphasis wasn't on him being foreign. He was a lot of fun. He was great as a face. Oh my gosh, he was incredible.
I agree. Did not like him when he showed up in AEW.
They weren't using him right when he showed up at all.
No.
Like for sure.
That's a thing. That is a thing. I think that there needs to be a balance between everything is scripted and everything is focus grouped and all of that nonsense that makes WWE so sanitized, and the Wild West of giving everybody free reign to do whatever they want in AEW. Because
you need to have good people in front of it, kind of like directing it a little bit.
Like I don't understand. There are good people. I think
we're very good at that.
Yes, I agree. There are good people in AEW. There are good people in AEW that should be stopping some of the things that happen there, and I don't understand why they're not.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's one of those things where like a lot of those people are just like, well, the kids know what they're doing, right? I'm out of touch with today's wrestling, but I'm really happy that Tony Khan gave me a job.
Yeah, I think I think that it can be it's tough because I think there can be nuance to a heel who has a foreign gimmick. And it sort of depends on how much you lean into it. Like, so this might be a kind of a weird example. But,
I'm like, oh God, Preston, where are you going with this?
Well, so the thing that comes to mind, and again, I'm not. Don't take the actual individual out of this, but just on paper, Jinder Mahal's championship run.
I love Jinder Mahal.
He's a heel. He's a dirty heel.
He's good
and his gimmick is at the time is that he is Indian because WWE behind the scenes is courting the Indian market. Yeah. But he was not a heel because he was Indian, except when the audience was shitty Americans and they sort of did that.
Yeah, I think that's like kind of the big distinction. Like he's foreign and he was a heel, but that wasn't entirely.
It wasn't his reason for being a heel. Yeah, he wasn't presented as a. He was sort of. This is sort of it is sort of the same idea with Tiger Ali Singh from the 90s, who had kind of the same gimmick where he was Indian, and his gimmick was that he was Indian, but he was a heel because he was rich. And that was sort of Jinder Mahal's thing too, was sort of that he was presented as being wealthy and luxurious, which I mean, that I guess comes with a little bit of, I don't know if that's a stereotype or not. I mean, they used a lot of Indian imagery. He's an Indian person. So it's sort of hard if he's going to ride the gimmick of being of Indian descent, and he's cutting promos I can't remember the name of the specific Punjabi. Yes. Thank you. And they're sort of playing up the idea that he is a wealthy person from India. Yeah, but we weren't meant to hate him because he was Indian. We were meant to hate him because he was shitty and
they were kind
presumably
of
rich,
bringing in such a large market too. Like they were very reporting.
But he was sort of like, I remember this sort of petered off, but when he would start, he would sort of like, he would cut a heel promo and then he would say, "I will now address my people in my native language of Punjabi." And then he would cut the same promo, presumably in Punjabi. But like, it wasn't like I don't know. I feel like if the idea was that he was a heel because he was Indian, he would just cut the whole promo in Indian and then.
Yeah.
But then you've got no promo.
I didn't think it was so bad that he was then doing it to the audience when they were trying to expand into that audience. Like that. No,
it makes sense. It's sort of a cynical thing to do.
Yeah.
To pluck this guy out of relative obscurity and just give him the title.
Listen, WWE's motivation was. It was.
I agree, Georgia, though, before Ben says, I just want to quickly say, I do agree. I thought Jinder Mahal was great. Not
loved
the
him.
not the
No,
best wrestler, but I thought the gimmick was
I
great.
liked him
Ben,
a lot.
sorry.
Like I liked him a lot as a wrestler, and also like as a gentleman. I mean, I was very excited every time Jinder Mahal showed up, but I don't think I was alone in that.
Georgia likes the roidos.
I like charismatic heel.
He's very charismatic. I'll give him that.
And a lot of my, like I said before, I could think of like Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho, Rick Rude. Jake the Snake goes into this a little bit, not as much, but like just actually take him out of it. But like the really over charismatic,
attractive.
That's part of it too, for sure, absolutely, for sure.
Yeah.
They're fun to watch. They're very
Ben,
fun to watch.
Ben, what were you going to say just now?
Yeah. Oh, I don't think that Jinder Mahal was an evil foreign heel because he was Indian. I think that he was an evil foreign heel because he's Canadian, and the Canadians can go to hell. Yeah. So I think that's why Edge is now a heel, because he's Canadian.
That's fair. It was inevitable.
I think that's why Kevin Owens is a heel, because he's Canadian. I think that and everyone knows
Kevin Owens is a great heel. He kind of ties into Jericho because of their history and everything. But like, he's another great overconfident heel, and I love an overconfident heel. Like,
yeah.
Listen, everyone knows that Canadians are dicks, and they are notoriously very rude.
I'm going to go on the record that I love Canadians.
They are not nice. They are never neighborly.
Oh, Ben's doing kafeb.
That's This is the audience.
You know how horrible Canada is. You know how horrible Canada is. They actually care for their sick people. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. People pay taxes, and then their government uses the taxes to help the people. That is insufferable.
Very backwards.
It's so backwards.
We can't really possibly understand it.
Oh, we're just hemorrhaging viewers right now.
Canada is a third world country, and all of those people are evil. So, yeah, Fabulous Rougeau brothers were heels ahead of their time.
That's true.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Actually, my favorite heel.
Wait, hold on. Before we get into this, because this was going to be my final discussion point. And Ben, I'm going to give you a chance. Before that, I have on my phone, I have the Bleacher Report top 100 heels of all time.
Oh God.
And I'm not going to read all of them, but I don't know if this is any particular order, but I do have the last 10 on the list.
Hit me.
So I'm gonna pop these off. We got Roddy Piper.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. Of course.
Love him.
Ming and the Barbarian as one entry.
Sure.
Yeah. The Great Kabuki.
Okay.
Yeah. Ivan Koloff. So there's your heel. Foreigner. Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Rick Rude.
Yeah.
The Midnight
all the Ricks.
The Midnight Express and Jim Cornette.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that they're sucking up Jim Cornette a little
bit. Scott Hall and Kevin Nash as one single entry.
Yeah, absolutely.
As the outsiders.
Yeah.
Vince McMahon.
Yeah, we never even got into Vince McMahon as a heel. The ultimate, real life villain.
And then the finally is Hollywood Hulk Hogan.
Oh yeah.
And so I guess that's a good point. And my final discussion topic was going to be our favorite heels of all time, not group as a group, but just singular. Like who's your favorite heel? But Vince McMahon is an interesting topic because I think that his Mr. McMahon gimmick in the 90s, it really is its own thing. I mean, it was part of what really pushed wrestling forward. I mean, there's a small handful of things that happened in the 90s that created the world of wrestling as we know it today, and Mr. McMahon was one of those. But it sort of like too much of a good thing, because now it seems like you need to have a heel authority figure to drive the overall narrative, or an authority figure of some degree, if not.
It turns into something that they are in. It feels like wrestling companies they cannot get away from it now, in a way that's very annoying, because it's not my favorite. I loved it with Vince McMahon and Stone Cold. It worked, and then that's the story. The story is over. Make new stories, but they just make that story over and over and over and over and over again with diminishing returns every time.
Absolutely.
And it's very annoying, and it keeps me. I cannot emphasize how much I hate when the plot is the company.
Yeah.
Whatever it might be. Whatever is good for this or good for that. That is the kufib that I hate. I tune it out. It turns me off. It's been a slog to try and get into stuff if they want to talk about the company, or I can't stand it. It's one of those things where I think it worked for that one moment in time, and then we needed to go back to never mentioning that it was wrestling ever again.
Yeah.
Don't mention that it's a company. Don't mention that people work there. Don't mention that someone owns it. Just have, two people having a fight, preferably in a parking lot. And that's what we're all here for.
Yeah.
We're all here for that feeling in school where there's a fight in the hallway and fight. Why are they fighting? Okay. We're into it. No one wants to be he told the principal F you, and then the principal's fighting them. Get out. No one wants that.
Friggin' Canadian.
Worst Canadian of them all.
So I agree, and I think that, so I'm not terribly against it. I'm only for it when it works and when it's actually real. So I think that I didn't hate the authority. I didn't think that they did it very well. But I didn't hate the idea of it. And with Seth and creating a golden boy, and
I liked them. I hated that plot line for that.
Yeah, I don't think that they did
very much. I love.
Yeah, I don't think that they did a good job with it, but I mean that that whole thing of Vince handing things over to Stephanie and Triple H, and them kind of messing things up, that could have been fun. Seth Rollins was the best wrestler in the world. Yeah, absolutely. That's why it worked. The rest of it didn't work.
Zack Sabre Jr. was the best wrestler in the world at the time. But...
Meltzer and shit. So the thing is, I think that storyline had some credibility and worked, right? And I think that NXT, the original NXT, when NXT was on the network, and it was 4 pay-per-views a year and doing all of those things, and it was only an hour, and it was the greatest wrestling that anyone's ever seen, or anyone's seen in 20 years, because it was slow builds. The TV show didn't really matter all that much. Fantastic stuff, building characters, right? It was a little bit of a mix of everything, and it was wonderful. And you just had William Regal as the GM or commissioner or whatever it was called. And I think that is fantastic, and that's the Jack Tunney stuff that Zofo is talking about. And I love that. I think that's amazing. What I would do, right? I think that I never want to see Tony Khan on television.
Oh
ever.
My God.
No.
I haven't seen a lot of AEW episodes all the way. I wish I did. I have a harder time getting a hold of. I don't have cable, and so Tony Khan is someone who I hear about now and then on Twitter, and
that's the bulk of where Tony Khan exists, is on Twitter.
So you can't. So the thing about AEW is that it's so not kafib that and everybody knew everything about it and all of that stuff, that I really strongly believe that in the first 6 months of that company, not as bad guys, as good guys, as the people, as the characters that they were, people needed to do stuff to the Bucks and Kenny and Cody to piss them off, right? In the roles that they were in as good guys, people needed to do things that, like, the heels needed to do stuff that was underhanded, that pissed them off, and then they just had to flex their muscle like a tiny bit, like, just like, no, you know what, we're having a match next week, and other people just go like, we can't make our own matches, like, that's kind of messed up. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, sure, like, those people screwed you over, but like, you get to just choose that you get revenge, and like, have other people start complaining about it. And then just have Tony Khan one time only say, yeah, absolutely, you guys may be executive vice presidents of the company and everyone knows that, but you can't have any authority over what happens in the course of matches and anything like that. So I have hired a commissioner who's going to take care of all of that stuff for us. And then you bring out like Iron Anderson or somebody that's legit and has that level of whatever, right? And then it's a sport, and you can fully go into that, and you've explained why the executive vice presidents don't have any control over this stuff. Nobody had to turn heel, nobody had to do any of that stuff, but you show the audience why.
Yeah.
Instead of just telling them, or instead of insinuating things, or instead of, talking about who has the stroke around here or anything like that, you just do it. You tell that story in a couple weeks, you resolve it. You have somebody, like, I loved when JJ Dillon was the, like, mouthpiece in the late mid 90s for WCW, when he would just come out and say, like, the board of directors has said that, Hulk Hogan is going to defend his title against Goldberg next week. Like, it was the Jack Tunney thing. I was a little too young for Jack Tunney. But I don't know. I think that that's golden. And I think that, you have an opportunity to do that with some things. I really don't like Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville. Like, I like them as people. And I like them as like, I don't like the characters and the way that they're portraying it and whatever. I think that one of them should have one show and one of them should have the other if they're going to be the people. And I think that like, you can have a little storyline of Adam Pearce getting like some confidence and doing that, but then don't make him the bad guy. You don't need to have him be the bad guy. Just have a segment where Vince is like, get your shit together, buddy. And he's like, okay. And then he like stands up to the bad guys and he stands up to the good guys and he puts order in place. And then that's it. And then he's the guy and he's the figurehead and you just go from there.
I don't think that WWE is capable anymore of having an on-screen authority figure that is a functioning character. I think they've beaten it so far into the ground that if they have an on-screen authority figure, they're involved in too much. And I think for me, the last time to Pro Middle Management, no, this is a good point, P.O. Box, but because I was going to say the last time that I remember an effective, William Regal aside, because William Regal as the commissioner it was priceless because he's awesome.
He's great. He could make it work.
He could make it work. But before that, I mean, and the only one since that I think was Commissioner Sergeant Slaughter while the Vince McMahon stuff was going on in the 90s. But he was doing the same thing where he was really only around sometimes.
It was just kind of exciting that they brought him back in that role.
It was so weird really and fun. But I think the best authority figure is one that is just sort of an occasional foil to a face or a heel, just to come out, like you said, Ben, and sort of just broker a match just to like get under someone's skin and then leave. They're not directly involved in the narrative. The feud isn't with them. They're just
I feel like all of that is a placeholder for where a better writer could write a better story.
I think that sometimes if that's the only thing that the authority figure does, if you're a heel and you're involved in a feud with my with my baby face, my top baby face, and you just got one over on him, and then you really want to pop the crowd, just have that authority figure come out and be like, no, you are going to have that match.
Well, I like that. Yeah,
Huge
I do like that.
Leave. That's
that
it.
Is good. That's good.
It.
I do like that.
Yeah, and that's the extent of it, right? Like
Yeah.
it's just the person who signs things, who signs documents in the back and enforces the rules, and that's it. And just an end of story, you know?
And that's sort of that's even more than Tony Khan's on-screen presence. I mean, he really is only ever on screen on occasion if there's big company news. Like he came out to announce the ROH stuff. Like
horrible on camera.
Goddamn 12-year-old. Yeah, he's terrible.
The single most. I don't think that I've ever seen a person cry. Everyone is going to hate me so much right now. I don't think that I've ever seen somebody happy or sad or whatever that I have ever seen and gone, you look like the most disingenuous person I've ever seen in my entire life. Your tears look fake. Your smiles look fake. Every time he's in an interview where somebody else, like the media scrums afterwards, where like somebody else is sitting next to him and they say something nice, and he's like,
yeah, he
every single time, like he over emotes
like a pantomime of an on-screen authority.
He is there. Like, if you do not think that Tony Khan is doing this to get himself over, and to he might not be putting himself on screen all of the time and being like, I'm going to be a character and I'm going to be right.
But everyone knows
he fucking feeds.
You don't have to say
he feeds off of the fact that you think that he's the greatest guy in the world. And like, that's the thing that's happening, right? He lets these people go out and say like, AEW is the best thing in the world, right? They're going to give all of the wrestlers health insurance. And he's like, wow, we're going to give the 4 people that work in the office health insurance. But I'm going to let this go out there. You know what I mean? Like, it's so disingenuous. It's such bullshit. He is a billionaire who just is so happy because his toys came to life. That is all this is. And he thinks that he's the greatest fucking thing that ever happened to professional wrestling because he's a fan that also he is his own money mark. And it's wonderful, right? Except that it's and everybody hates WWE. So everybody's like, Tony Khan's the greatest thing in the world. He's not. He kind of sucks at a lot of stuff.
I have so little context of Tony Khan, which I mean, I'm realizing
it's better.
We should have some.
None of them do. None of them have the best health insurance. None of them do. He doesn't have the decency to hate wrestling like Vince does. Yeah. If you, it is not about
Vince
hating.
Really does seem like he hates wrestling, but really just wanted to be into bodybuilding, and somehow he had to do what his stepdad made. You know, like he got stuck with it. So he's brought in like the hottest beefcakes he could for the longest time.
Wow.
Vince McMahon has a different view on what wrestling is than what some other people do. Absolutely. I think that the idea that he hates it is insane. I think that he loves it and he loves what he does every single day. Absolutely. I do. I think that he is a ruthless businessman and you know,
the man works hard. He's well into his 110s and he is there every single day. We all owe Vince McMahon a debt of gratitude. Thank you for saying it.
Yeah, I'm literally not going to defend Vince McMahon either. Like
I don't think anyone can.
But no, like I don't think
right.
We all know
but your point stands that just by simply placing Tony Khan next to Vince McMahon on stage, Tony Khan's automatically the biggest baby face.
Tony Khan is very aware.
Alone with.
Right.
Tony Khan is very aware that everyone wants a savior who is the antithesis of that has the money to do it, and he's playing that part, and he's letting everyone else say those things and do those things. And then if you look at his like Twitter and stuff, he acts like a petulant child.
Yeah.
Like all of the time. If he heard this with 4 people watching and me, who is a fucking no one, he would be like, "Oh yeah, how many shows have you? Oh yeah, how come we won this one rating demographic, and this is why this is the thing that matters the most, and like all of the just shut up, dude. Just do your thing."
When I have seen him referenced on Twitter, it is usually that he needs to apologize for
something. Yeah, right.
And so
You know,
I don't know a lot about him, and I don't know the things he needed to apologize for, but I tend to not think that's great.
I'm not even talking about any scandals. I think this is Ben's bid to be the next babyface. I don't want to be involved in the world of wrestling. I don't want to be involved in the world of wrestling at all. At fucking all.
Here we are.
I
think that like I so incredibly want, and I don't think that anybody like this person probably doesn't exist, right? But
P.O. Box?
No, P.O. Box definitely doesn't exist.
P.O. Box exists.
Ooh,
it's you. It's you. It's pseudo. I know it's
me.
you.
It's not me, but I do love the joke that it's me.
It's definitely you. Oh, now we see your hands, and P.O. Box isn't typing. So listen.
P.O. Box, quick, type something. Save us.
Listen, there's no.
I am gonna get tired.
I am not saying there is nothing like. I'm not saying that Tony Khan is evil. I am not saying that Tony Khan is like the worst person in the world. I'm saying that Tony Khan is not very much different than Vince McMahon when it comes to all of this. Like, he is an egotistical 30-something-year-old billionaire.
Why does he have to be younger than me? I hate that everyone's younger than me now.
Georgia, you're old as shit.
He's Vince McMahon, but without the trauma, right? Like Vince McMahon had a really hard
childhood. He had a really hard upbringing and all of this stuff. Yeah, sure, absolutely. Vince McMahon's gone through a lot of shit. Vince McMahon is not the best man in the world ever. Tony Khan is not the best man in the world ever, but he is purposefully allowing and wants everyone else to think of them as that, and for him to be this savior figure of wrestling. And it's too much. Yeah, it's too much. And all of the stuff and all of the people bending over backwards to kiss the ass and to do all of that stuff is just, there's too many sycophants. And if you were able to have an honest dialogue about the stuff that's wrong with AEW, it would benefit it, and it would by far be the better product, and there would be no choice about that. Because WWE sucks right now. Yeah. It sucks.
It's sort of kind of the same problem that Cody Rhodes had when he was in AEW, that he was sort of presented as and portrayed himself as the savior of wrestling, and except he couldn't sustain it because he was on screen and everyone turned on him because he was presented too big. And so my point in that is, the thing that I'm looking forward to with Tony Khan is when he inevitably becomes the new general manager of SmackDown.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get back to that final point that we had about a half an hour ago.
Yeah.
Favorite
office meetings. That's what drives me crazy. It's all turned into office.
Oh, I'm sorry. Georgia put her hands back down, and now P.O. Box.
P.O. Box, you are chaotic evil. Wow.
All right.
Whoever P.O. Box is, they are hilarious. That was very well played. And also, I can't keep my hands up that long.
We appreciate we joke so hard, but P.O. Box is a highlight of these streams.
Yeah, no,
I am
great.
I want to say that I am fully playing a character on this show.
Yeah, this the audience should know that Ben, like, I don't know if you want me to break kafib, but like Ben is a total sweetheart. Like that's not
the opinions
very,
Ben
very,
is
very
expressing
funny
are
boy.
real. He's just expressing them in a way that's exaggerated.
It is very funny.
Like every great heel, there's a bit of
that's the
truth.
thing. It's like it's the heel within a heel within a heel. This is like the Inception.
Yeah.
version.
So our favorite heels of all time. I wanted to ask this to the group in the chat if they'd like to volunteer their opinions. But in honesty, I have a lot of trouble answering this because there's a lot of things that I like about heels. I think, you know, it's the villain drives the narrative, right? So you have to have a great villain, and there's sure are a lot of them. And just being able to separate them from between supernatural and not supernatural alone, I feel like makes, because how do you choose? Like they're so vastly different, but I don't know. I think honestly, I'm struggling even now. I'm putting myself on the hot seat. I want to say the $1 Million Man.
Oh,
I think the $1 Million Man did not get did not get the respect that he deserved at the time. I think that he was underutilized, and I'm happy that he had such a long tenure in that character, and they did some really great stuff. Hello.
I didn't say any bad words earlier, Gwen.
And but that gimmick is just absolute money.
Nice.
If the $1 Million Man character came along in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
Or if they traded belts the way that they did in the 90s, instead of Hogan holding it for 5 years and not being able to do that and having the stability because he's just building the national company and doing all of those things, right? But if the $1 Million Man character happened 10 years later, 5-time world champion.
Yeah.
Like that's but absolutely
a lot of the guys that are sort of carryover from the 80s and early 90s who never got the heavyweight title championship, never got the top prize in the company. Some of the best talents, you know, when you talk about $1 Million Man, when you talk about Scott Hall, you know, like these guys are just phenomenal. Rick Rude, you know, just absolutely just the cream of the crop.
Piper.
Yeah, and a lot of that is because of Hogan.
Yep.
The greatest, the true greatest heel of all time, at least in the WWE. Ben, who do you got for your number one spot? Who leads
First
your heel
stable? I have to say that that the $1 Million Man is a fantastic choice.
I agree.
Yeah, the $1 Million Man is a fantastic choice.
And you can sort of extend that to like the Miz and MJF too, because I think they're natural conclusions from having such a prolific figure. I think they're sort of cut from the same
$1 Million
cloth.
Man walked so that they could run.
That's true. Absolutely Po-Box.
Po-Box, those are very it took you a long time to type that while your daughter was on your lap.
Piper's in my top 5 for sure. I'm being honest, I'm not a huge fan of Lawler, but Piper for absolutely sure. Sorry, Ben.
I mean, Flair was great, but his best heel stuff was before my time. Flair was like
Flair's heel promos are
my prime year.
Tops.
Flair was a babyface in WCW, so like, you know, I started watching when he was still a heel. But I really loved. Oh my God, Roddy Piper.
Hot Rod.
Yeah.
Wait, so Po-Box said Roddy Piper, and now there's a Roddy Piper action figure. I don't know. It's Triple H. It's you know, I think that it would have been Ric Flair had I been born 10 years earlier. But I think that the young, ruthless villain who was obsessed with the title, was fantastic in the late 90s. The whole thing with marrying Steph and pulling that stuff, and then the McMahon Helmsley era, that was such a big part of my teenage years. I didn't watch a lot of it, but turning on Shawn Michaels and Evolution and creating Batista, bringing Rick in and then turning on Rick at one point, and then also bringing in Randy Orton and Batista and then turning on them when they got like just that whole power hungry thing that lasted until like 2007 when he got like the weird like flat ironed hair, and then started doing the DX stuff again. Like, yeah, I think that 99 to 06 Triple H is my favorite heel.
Have you ever seen Wrestling is Wrestling, Ben?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course I've seen Wrestling is Wrestling.
Fantastic.
Triple H is the quintessential story of a professional wrestler. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Georgia.
Well, like you said, it's hard not to have them in Supernatural or like kind of fun Chris Jericho, Shawn Michaels types. Supernatural. I mean, Undertaker is so exciting when he comes out for any reason. He's like an actual real ghost that appears.
Mm-hmm.
But my mind keeps going over and over again. I love Ric Flair, but Shawn Michaels for me. I think it's Shawn Michaels. I love when he would come out. A lot of my favorite villains are kind of similar, cocky sort of jerks. Yeah, that was. Gwen really wants to say her favorite heel.
Who's your favorite heel, Gwen?
Who's your favorite heel?
What's a heel?
It's a bad guy.
I don't have a favorite bad guy.
You don't have a favorite bad guy?
No.
You love bad guys.
No, I don't.
Yeah, you do.
No. Only Batman.
Well, Batman's not real, although he's kind of.
I mean, none of them are real. Shawn Michaels isn't real.
Here's Rose.
This is Rose.
But
I love Rose.
when you play wrestlers, who's the bad guy when you play with your wrestlers?
Jafar.
Who's the bad guy who does all the moves to your guys?
Can you hold this?
Yep.
I love it.
I do have to say, I really loved Bret Hart as a bad guy.
Bret Hart was really fun.
Bret Hart was good.
This guy. I hate him.
Is that is that the Truth Commission?
I hate him. I hate him.
Yeah, I don't. She just really doesn't like.
Bull Buchanan from the Truth Commission.
All right.
Who I love is this guy.
Jimmy Hart.
Sure.
And this guy.
Hillbilly Jim.
Hillbilly Jim.
Always.
You got good taste, kid.
Yeah, very good. I used to have that same Hillbilly Jim when I was a kid.
I love this guy because he's very funny. Mom makes him only say.
Oh, I really don't want to do it on video, honey.
What is it? I can't remember.
Oh, wow. Okay, go to the whole screen. Okay. All right. You want me to have him wrestle?
Please.
Okay. Well, here we go.
You're very fine.
And then he hits things. That's what I do. That's the sound I make for Hillbilly Jim.
Well, this has been Let's Talk Wrestling.
That's awesome.
Tune into WrestleMania, I guess, this weekend.
Yeah.
That's
on Peacock.
Peacock. Yeah. Peacock. On Peacock. Yeah, and we don't get paid directly from WrestleMania, but you can tip us if you like. What's the Patreon? Yeah, thanks so much, Georgia. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Patreon.
Thank you for having me.
Wait, you think that there's a Patreon? There's no way.
I was just hoping. I was taking the shot in the dark. Georgia, it's been an absolute pleasure. Really, I appreciate it.
It's
Your
been
joy.
so much fun. Thank you to you both for having me and having Gwen.
Thank you, Georgia. Thank you, Gwen. Thank you,
Georgia. Why don't you tell if you'd like to tell the audience who you are and what you do, or where they can support you.
I'm Georgia Dunn. I'm a cartoonist, and I write the comic Breaking Cat News. You can find it in newspapers across the country, including the Houston Chronicle and the Seattle Times, many others, Connecticut Day, Westerly Sun. You can also find it on Go Comics, online, syndicated, and we have our 5th book coming out next week, and it's Behind the Scenes with Bert. Remember? You've already read it. Do you like it?
Yes, and can you please talk about me?
Please talk about me. This is my daughter, Gwen. And Guinevere. And it is Guinevere's birthday on Sunday. So happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
No.
Where's the book sold?
The book is sold absolutely anywhere. You can order it through a local bookstore. You can order it on Amazon, IndieBound, Barnes and Noble, all over the place. If you have
would
kids,
sending people to breakingcatnews.com just do the trick?
it does not anymore, because that site was never monetized. So I always send them to Go Comics, where the comic is syndicated now every day.
Save me!
Pobox, I'm gonna do something for you. Yeah, I'm gonna give you the website right now. Please write it down. GOOGLE.com. Go there, just type in Breaking Cat News, and
It will be there.
And it will be there.
Sure.
GOOGLE.com.
It's right on the landing page now. If you bring up all the comics, Breaking Cat News.
It's on the landing page of GOOGLE.com.
Oh no! Never mind. I was hearing Go Comics while I was talking to her. Sorry, I heard GO and my mind filled in the rest.
Oh, Ben kafebbed you.
This is K-Feb.
Hey,
fellow author
Hey,
Brooks
thank you.
fellow author Brooks O'Brien just pre-ordered the book.
thank you, Brian. That's great.
Brian, what a
thank
lurker.
you, thank you from me to you, Brian. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Can you tell people to like and subscribe to Ben's Twitch show here?
Oh, it's not my Twitch. This is not my Twitch channel. This is a community Twitch channel.
Community Twitch channel.
It's a community.
Oh, hey everyone! Hey everyone! Luke has arrived too. Both my kids are
Oh,
here.
Luke! I just figured it out. Luke has been on another computer this entire time typing things in. Luke is Pobox.
Are you Pobox?
We figured it out. Luke is
Luke is on
Pobox.
his mom's account.
There's been a secret typer. Are you the secret typer?
Yeah.
Luke, lying is very bad. Lying is very bad, Luke.
Ben, what's coming up next on Come Waste Your Time, or what, or whatever?
The Fire Pit on Friday night. Friday nights 9-ish, 9 to 10, sometime between 9 and 10. The Fire Pit.
And that's just a whatever happens type of situation.
That is
Pete
a bunch of
Box.
friends. That is a bunch of friends sitting around a proverbial fire pit. There will be no talk about wrestling. I will not be a jerk.
Showed up the last time and demanded wrestling talk.
The only thing that I will be a jerk about is that I have written a superior children's book to Brooks O'Brien's children's book. It is not superior to any of the Breaking Cat News series of books.
Thank you.
You're welcome. However, it is superior in every single way.
I like it.
Oh, that's right. George has read
right. You've shown me bits of it. I really like it. It's really nice.
So, and Georgia, I know that you haven't read it, but would you say that my book is better than Brian Saviano's book, Pro Gamers Guide?
Oh, I don't want to do that.
Would you say that my book is better than Pro Gamers Guide to Healthy Habits? Thank you so much.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I can't
Listen,
tell.
he doesn't need any more help. He raised $32,000 in a Kickstarter. He doesn't need any more help.
Yes,
well, that's great. And I'm Preston Black. I stream on my own Twitch channel, Captain Stick Figure, which is in chat right now. If you're interested, I stream variety and retro games on Monday and Wednesday evenings. And so we would love to have you. And then, we will do Let's Talk Wrestlings intermittently as topics arise. I imagine we'll probably do one in the wake of WrestleMania. If not next week, then maybe the week after we'll talk about it.
That's definitely it. You definitely want to wait 2 weeks after the biggest pay-per-view of the year to break it down. Like you want to have everybody forget about it, and then you want to talk about it. That's
if we do it in the days after, that's when everybody's going to be talking about it. We're getting to get lost in the shuffle. We wait 2 weeks after. Then it's like, oh right, I forgot WrestleMania happened. What do Ben and Preston have to say about it?
What we should do is we should wait a month.
I think we should do it the very next night, but talk about last year's WrestleMania.
That's fantastic. I would like to talk about WrestleMania 14. There are still some things that I haven't Will there be a lot of notes? Preston is going to take copious amounts of notes.
I'm going to try and temper my note taking so that it's at least not as long as the pay-per-view itself. Considering WrestleMania is going to be 7 to 8 hours.
Preston's notes will be 10 to 11 hours.
Last time we reviewed, I think we matched the pay-per-view time when we talked about Revolution.
I was messed up for a week after that show.
Ben was like, I don't know if we need to do Let's Talk Wrestling anymore.
That's a long time.
I don't know if we need to do this.
And then P.O. Box showed up in something not wrestling related, and Ben was like, leave me alone. Don't ever come. No, I was just kidding.
No, because and I'm the bad guy. I'm the heel on Let's Talk Wrestling because I tell it like it is. Tell it like it is. That's what it is, right? AEW is garbage. WWE is also.
I love
garbage.
AEW. You shut your heel mouth.
Ben just hates
AEW
wrestling.
Is garbage.
That better be kufib.
AEW, yes, dad life. Yes. So yes, Preston will publish notes he will publish it on the Patreon.
Dad Life's avatar. I love it.
Dad Life works very hard on that mustache. I'll have you know.
Dad Life is. I like the whole vibe. I like the whole brand. I'm on board.
Will you be back to break down WrestleMania with us?
I'd love to. I would absolutely love to. I will try to have the kids in bed, but my life is a little bit like that Ginger Rogers quote. I can do anything a man can do, but backwards in heels and just covered with children like a possum.
We would like the kids to officially be on the show next time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We would like the kids to just officially be on the show next time. I think that's the more reasonable thing.
I feel like that might almost be easier because then they'll love it, and then they might get a little bored. They might wander off.
I also will not swear nearly as much. Still some.
I can't promise. I can't make any promise. It's sort of my brand.
Uncle Preston.
Favorite song right now.
Oh wait, you are Uncle Preston, aren't you?
I am. Yeah, legally.
Kid, whatever his name is. Yeah. So, cuss words happen sometimes. She knows not to say them.
Gwen, I don't think I've ever met you.
I love cuss words.
Cool. Make that a clip. Thanks. Send it to all my family.
Gwen, Georgia. Hold on a second. It's just me and Gwen talking right now. Gwen, what's your favorite cuss word?
Don't you dare. Don't you dare.
No,
you cuss in the game, you cuss in real life. Don't dare. Okay.
Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Chat, thank you very much. I didn't hear it, so it didn't happen.
Did she say something? No.
You can say what you just said.
The F word.
It's a good one. It's versatile.
It's a good one.
It's a good one.
Good night, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Go follow Preston. He'll have copious notes.
There's no way I'm getting bored of being on television.
Okay.
I want other people to see me.
I feel the same way.
You think we're on television? I love it.
There's a Twitch app on the TV.
Yeah. They know Twitch. They watch Twitch on our TV with Daddy.
It's basically don't get nitpicky with the children, Ben.
Yeah.
Listen, these kids think that they're the savior.
They watch Hot Dad.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
I have to eat dinner. It's midnight. Good night.